Good morning, students. In last video we will discuss the events in sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction there are three types of events: pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization events. In last video we will completed pre-fertilization and fertilization events. So today we will discuss about post-fertilization events. So what are post-fertilization events? Events after the fertilization are called post-fertilization events. And post-fertilization events are usually two types: formation of zygote and embryogenesis. The post-fertilization events includes development in zygote and embryogenesis. The first event of post-fertilization event is the zygote. So what is zygote? A diploid zygote. So zygote is always diploid. So a diploid zygote is the product of fertilization in all sexually reproducing organisms. Yes, in last video I will tell you fertilization is of two types: external fertilization and internal fertilization. In case of external fertilization, zygote is formed in the external medium, usually water acts as external medium. Whereas in case of internal fertilization, zygote is formed inside the body of the female. Formation of zygote is the common characteristic feature of all sexually reproducing organisms. But the further development of zygote depends on the type of life cycle of the organism and environmental conditions. In some cases, the further development of zygote leads to haplontic life cycle. In some cases, it leads to diplontic life cycle. In some cases, it leads to haplodiplontic or diplohaplontic life cycle. So first one is, in many fungi and algae, the zygote develops a thick wall and forms spore, that is called zygospore. Then zygospore undergoes a period of rest. It germinates during next growing season. During the favorable conditions, it germinates, and zygospore undergoes meiosis to produce haploid individuals. And this kind of life cycle, or this kind of the further development of zygote, leads to haplontic life cycle. So haplontic life cycle can be found in many algae and fungi. And second condition is, in most of the animals, zygote does not take rest. It divides by mitosis, first forming a diploid embryo, and then the diploid embryo develops into an individual, and this individual is also diploid, and this kind of development leads to a diplontic life cycle. In third condition, in most plants, the zygote first forms an embryo and then diploid sporophyte, and the diploid sporophyte has sporangia. What is sporangia? It is spore producing structure, and sporangia undergoes meiosis to form haploid spores. Then spores produce diploid gametophyte. Gametes are produced in the gametophyte. It leads to diplohaplontic life cycle. So the further development of zygote depends on life cycle of any organism. Here I will try to write the differences between zoospore and zygote. So zoospore, what is zoospore? It is formed inside zoosporangia. Zygote, it is formed by fusion of two gametes. Zygospore, so zoospore is motile, and zygote is, it may be motile or non-motile, and zoospore is the result of asexual reproduction. Zygote is the net result of sexual reproduction. It is haploid or diploid, but zygote is always